topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. This is C.W. Getz. My co-host Jesse Free is off this evening. It's Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. We got a beautiful 80-degree day here in Chicago. I made that up. I just a little wishful thinking, I guess, but it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. Hey, we want to say hi to our listeners, our friends and listeners here from the UK, Portugal, Brazil, Canada, United Arab Nations, and of course in the United States. Got a lot of messages this week. It's been a busy week, so I want to say hi to all you guys, and thanks for chiming in. Tonight's episode is Canoecopia 2021, Going Virtual, with my special guests, Darren Bush, Kate Westfall, Amelia Getz, and Danny Mongo. Darren Bush, owner of Rutabaga Paddle Sports in Madison, Wisconsin, is a veteran paddler and a contributing writer for several top paddling magazines. His paddle sports shop, Rutabaga Paddle Sports, is the host of the famous Canoecopia, the world's largest paddle sports exposition. Kate Westfall is the operations manager at Rutabaga Paddle Sports. She also orchestrates the Canoecopia event when held in its regular capacity, and will be doing the same for the virtual event this year. Kate also does the marketing and manages the website for Rutabaga Paddle Sports. Amelia Getz is the director of Rutabaga's outdoor programs. She, too, does marketing and manages the website for Rutabaga Paddle Sports. Amelia has recruited and managed the presenters for Canoecopia, as well as setting it up on the online platform, all while working from home with a newborn. By the way, congratulations, Amelia. Danny Mongo. And Danny, I got to tell you, I dropped the ball big time. So I am going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, CW. This is going to be my 17th Canoecopia as a presenter, so I'm really excited about that. I have been blessed to never have a job outside of this industry since I was 16 years old. So it's been really, really fun getting to know the Rutabaga staff. I've known Darren since 2003 and work really closely with Amelia and Kate. So I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
That is awesome. Well, it's great to have you here, all of you, in fact. So welcome to the show, everyone. Darren, it was Friday, March 13th, 2020, when you had to make the extremely difficult decision to cancel Canoecopia 2020, which was scheduled to begin that same day. I was at Rutabaga last September to do a live interview with you, Kate, and Dan for the boat swap event, and things seem to be going extremely well for you guys, especially in the middle of a pandemic. So has that momentum continued now with going into Canoecopia 2021 right around the corner?
It has. What we've found is that with COVID is obviously people want to be outside. It's a great place to be socially distant. And I think people realize once they're out there that this is better than just for being socially distant. This is awesome. This is a great lifestyle, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the numbers that I've seen from the Department of Tourism is that visiting the North Woods was up 38% this year. And we've seen that in people coming into the shop and renting. Snowshoes are up 250% this year. So people are looking for ways to go outside. And we're happy to do that for them.
Those numbers are amazing. Now, when's the last time you remember hearing things like those numbers like that things were up that much?
Never. Never.
A 12th of never, right?
Yeah, it has some problems though, because there are people going outside now that don't have the knowledge and the skills that they would normally have if they were, used to being outside. So there's some adjustments we have to make to things like leave no trace and some safety protocols and things like that. So, but it's going well. I mean, the chambers of commerce and the organizations that are in charge of these kinds of safety things are really responding.
That's very cool. You know, we did talk about. I was on the Canoe Hounds adventure show last night, and we talked about that a little bit. It's we always try to encourage people to get outdoors, and we have those numbers now. Now it's a matter, like you said, of education and teaching people. Like here's some etiquette. Plus here's some safety, and it goes on from there. So absolutely.
Right.
Well, we're going to get into specifics of how things will be arranged for the virtual event this year. But first, how about a list of the featured presenters will be and the kind of topics they'll be discussing?
Amelia, that's you.
Well, we have over 80 speakers that'll be presenting on different topics. So to name them all would take quite a while. But they're presenting on tons of different topics, not even just paddling related, but we have canoe presentations, kayaking. Danny's actually doing a stand-up paddleboarding presentation. We have a lot of topics about visiting places in the upper Midwest here, and then also visiting places like Patagonia and Norway, Maine. We have environmental topics, talking about nature and conservation issues, also things like camp cooking and photography skills, lots of kayak fishing talks and skills that go along with paddling and fishing. So there's a bunch of variety. I think something for everybody. We even have a leave no trace talk, like Darren mentioned.
Hey, great.
For those kind of novice paddlers or outdoor people, not even necessarily paddlers. So
yeah. You're talking about, these speakers, are we going to see any demonstrations, like when you're talking about cooking outdoors, that sort of thing? Are we going to see some people actually doing some cooking and making some stuff that we can all get, hungry over?
Yes. Yeah, we have a couple cooking talks. We typically have a live in-person demo that we weren't able to make happen this year, but we do have a couple still cooking talks on preparing food and then also food dehydration tips. So.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool. So are we going to see, we're going to see like a demonstration of most of these, or just some of them, like the ones you just spoke of?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't fully watched through every presentation that's been submitted, so I can't actually say exactly what.
Danny's going, what? Why not?
It would just be hours and hours. But the nice thing with the virtual format this year is that I will be able to watch all of the presentations because we're going to have them available for 60 days after the event. So, we will be able to see what all these talks that I've been organizing for years are actually doing.
There you go.
Yeah, our staff have never been to talks before. I haven't seen a Canoecopia talk in 31 years. And I get to see all of them.
That's cool. That's very cool.
It's really cool.
Very exciting, for sure.
So these are all recorded. I mean, there's nothing that these guys are doing that's live or anything like that, right?
Oh, actually, there'll be some that are live.
Oh, really?
Most are pre-recorded. Some will be pre-recorded with a live Q&A after the fact, and then a few will be live. But the cooking ones are, they're pre-recorded. Some like emergency first aid, that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of tricky logistics with getting the video quality that people wanted. Kind of Danny is an example of that. Kind of doing very high quality video is a little bit easier to do ahead of time than live.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
there'll be a mix.
Now, this emergency first aid is not part of the cooking demonstration, like a Tim Toolman Taylor sort of thing, I hope, right? Because it would be that would be the case if I did it. We'd have the ambulance standing by outside. Absolutely.
Well, we did have a little incident 3 or 4 years ago during a cooking demo where one of the stoves decided to flare up a little bit. And most of us laughed. A couple people didn't. Threw a blanket over it and it was all fine, but it was just...
No hair was lost in this.
No, that's what happened to me. I was too much camp cooking.
It's a cooking incident. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it. That's great. Well, and I'm going to ask you, how does the question and answer thing work now? So people watch these presentations, all right, and let's just say they've got a question that they want to ask during. Can they do that? Is the presenter live sitting there just answering questions while the presentation is going? Or how does that work?
Yep, that's a great question. Yeah, so there's a couple different options for attendees to ask questions. So for the pre-recorded version and actually for the live, on our platform that we're using for the event, it's called Hoova. They can live text chat in the presentation. And if it's a pre-recorded presentation, the speaker will be labeled as the speaker and they can answer the questions right there. And then their answers will be visible to everybody. There is also the option to live Q&A, so people can see a question being asked and then they can upvote it if they have a similar question. So that will help with the live Q&As, which will be after the talks. And so then those are kind of on the spot. We'll have room moderators for those, so they'll be able to help moderate the questions.
So the presenter then or whatever is going to be on the screen live. We can see him. Is that how that works? Or
for the live one? Yep.
Yeah, he'll be there. Right. Yep. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so they're all. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the vision I had is that all of them would be live, and we have these amazing things from the middle of the woods, and it would be fantastic. And the reason that I work with these people is I go, are you out of your freaking mind? Joe Robinette lives in the bush in Ontario, and he's going to use his phone to send stuff. So to get the best quality, we decided to go with mostly pre-recorded just because it was the safest way to get a good presentation.
Yeah. You don't need anybody dropping out during their show like has happened to me.
Right. And that's the thing. I'm like, oh, what can go wrong? And he's like, this, and this. And I'm like, okay.
Lots can go wrong. Yeah.
This is why I'm an eternal optimist, and I have people around me that are eternal realists. And,
there you go.
Between the two of us, we work it out.
Yeah. And the nice thing is too, with the questions, attendees will get access a couple days before the event to go in, so they can actually put their questions up if they want to, just kind of with the topic and the description at hand. So.
Okay.
It should be good. Hopefully, great interaction. But it's all brand new, so we're all figuring this out together.
Yeah, this is all brand new. This is like uncharted territory for you guys all. I mean, you a little nervous about all this, or what? I mean, or is it just we got it planned, man? There's nothing can go wrong here.
I'm more excited than nervous, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. So.
Okay, all right. How about
nervous?
Yeah, I was going to say, how about the rest of you guys?
I'm not nervous at all because these guys are brilliant. So
yeah, there's a very wise man right there at the top of your screen. He goes, I put the right people in the right places, and I trust them, and I know they're going to do fantastic for me. That is a very, very wise thing to do.
We've said before, it's not going to be perfect, right?
Right.
Because nothing ever is. But you know what? It's going to be really, really good.
Well, I tell you what, if it was perfect, it wouldn't be real, would it?
Right.
Yeah. And that's the whole human side of anything. That's what we watch things for. If we knew what was going to happen, it was going to be perfect. It wouldn't be nearly as entertaining.
Like AV stuff happens at Canoecopia live too. Microphones blow up and LCD projectors go down. So this is the same thing. We're just doing it.
I didn't know that, but you've had like projectors go down in the middle of a presentation, huh?
Everything. Well, 31 years I've been doing this. Everything that can happen has happened.
Oh my gosh. What do you do then, right? That's just that's a no moment.
At least you don't have slide projectors anymore. Those were always good because those bulbs are like so fragile. You look at them and they go off.
Oh yeah.
So it's much better than it used to be, but still, things can go wrong.
It is cool. We're gonna flash some.
I'm curious if Danny's ever had like a major malfunction because, like he said, he's been doing Canoecopia presentations live for many, many years. Do you remember a presentation that's gone awry, or do you just nail it every time?
Well, it's not the presentation that is troublesome; it's getting to the presentations. Those of you who've been to the show, it's quite busy for the vendors. So I'm trying to wear two hats, like a salesperson.
That's so true.
And then when you're trying to walk out the door with $3,000 worth of paddles, you'd be surprised how the security officers really want to give you a hard time about that. So and then you got to run up the stairs and But I've been really blessed to never have a problem during, but getting to and from, also like dragging the kayak back from the pool with wet shorts on, when it's 20 degrees out. That's always fun too.
Yeah, I think I now have memories of Amelia like saying, "Where's Danny? Where's Danny?" Trying to get you to your
flying through the
presentation.
airport like OJ, right? It's just,
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you really never get nervous presenting, Danny. It's just really the prep thereof, and then of course, going back with everything afterwards, right?
No, I always get nervous. I tend
Do
to
you?
really set a pretty high standard,
Yeah.
and Amelia makes it really hard on us too because we actually get like a grade, and so I
Oh.
really want to try to live up to a proper grade. I mean, I am getting paid to be there, so
How does
no,
that work? How does that work? If you get a D, what happens? I mean, do they just yank the whole paycheck or most of it, or
Okay.
what?
let me say this. We've had 4 speakers or 5 speakers since I've been involved with this.
Yeah.
They got you know what, don't have them back.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
for the most part, it's like, it was amazing. It was great. It was fantastic. This person knows what they're talking about. And so we vet them pretty hard.
So really, like Amelia, you do the evaluation. Let's just call it an evaluation. I mean, do you ever get feedback from people like attendees that going, "Oh my gosh, this guy was the best ever," or "That guy was horrible"? Do you get response like that?
Yeah, definitely. We do feedback surveys. There is no actual technical grade, I'll say, and correct. And Danny's, besides being a little late because he's working with customers, Danny is amazing.
Yeah.
But for a few times, there'll be the most like kind of criticism we've gotten is like, it doesn't maybe match with the title or what the description of the talk is going to be. And so over the years, I've learned that. And so I've really tried to work with the presenter to make sure the title matches exactly what they're going to talk about.
Sure.
And so there's not kind of any misleading, expectations kind of for the attendees coming into a talk. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, mostly it's raving reviews, and most of our complaints is, the room was full for the fire code purposes and I couldn't get in and I couldn't see this talk that I wanted to see. So I think something for this year that'll be a huge plus is that everybody will be able to get to see all the presentations that they want to see, and we won't get that negative feedback. So
Yeah, there you go. It's like kindergarten. You either you get an acceptable or unacceptable. Isn't that how that works? Or
yeah.
Yeah. Don't ask me what I used to get. So anyway, so for those who aren't familiar with virtual events, can you sort of give an explanation of how this type of thing works? Like for the computer dummy like myself that's home going, yeah, I'd like to see the event, but how do I do this? Talk to at least like address to me. Talk to me like I'm 4. Pretend like I'm just basic computer skills. What happens? We get a link. We go. How does that work?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Don't everybody talk all at once now. You guys take turns.
How does it work? No, just kidding.
Ticket holders will get sent a link where they can log into our event, because the Huva has multiple events that they're hosting like at one time, and they will have a passcode that they can then use to enter into the virtual Canoecopia, where they'll see the schedule and speakers, and then there will also be like virtual exhibitor booths that will be vendors that we have here at the shop, but then also a lot of other different places, outdoor groups, conservation groups, Chamber of Commerce, just all kinds of other people that wanted to be involved. So it'll look very much like a website, but there will be, videos and chat ability and the ability to message each other. You'll have a message center as an attendee. There's a lot of ways that you can interact with other attendees and exhibitors as well as speakers. So Amelia, anything to add?
It sounds like people can
great.
get really involved with this thing now. I mean, very interactive. Yeah, that's very cool. I think people are going to love that. Absolutely. I'm going to flash a couple of pictures up here of past Canoecopias. Roxy, if you want to throw, there you go. This is what the show typically looks like. And I say in, typical years. I mean, that's what the show looks like. There's a lot of people. Darren, how many people, and maybe I should go to Kate on this one. How many people usually attend this event annually when it's in its regular form, usual form?
It's usually around 20,000.
20,000 people.
Yeah.
And are you expecting that many and more since it's virtual and people don't have to actually drive and get there? You think that's going to be maybe a higher number, I would imagine, right?
It would be nice. I don't think we're going to get there because there are people that are like, you know what, the virtual thing just doesn't work for me. And
Really?
part of that is because, well, part of that they don't understand it. When I tell them, look, in normal Canoecopia, you get to pick one speaker out of 8 for every hour, and now you get to see every single speaker for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's just about what they're comfortable with. It would be nice to get that many people there. The other thing is 2 people can watch on one computer. So if a family came and they were buying different passes, they wouldn't have to buy all those passes.
Good point. Good
right.
point.
So there's some things about this that I'm very positive about. Number one, the carbon footprint of our show is pretty much nothing. And that's because our shop is wind powered and there's no driving. We're not having to rent trucks and semis to move stuff around.
Sure.
Some of our people are working from home during the show. Some of the speaker room hosts are working from home, and people don't have to travel. Our speakers aren't flying in from all over the place, so that's a positive thing.
Well, I think it sounds like there's a lot of positives to this. Not to take away from the live show.
Well, the cool part is we get to take some of the stuff with us when we go live again.
Yeah.
So we'll be hopefully recording some of the topics and presentations to put on our website later.
So this could enhance the whole regular show once that happens again, right?
Well, I think this is a whole sort of overarching theme for COVID. COVID's horrible. It's awful. No one likes COVID, but it's forced everybody on this earth to figure out a new way to live in some way, right? And we'll take some of that stuff with us when we move forward. Even when we can be back together again, that's going to be fantastic. But we'll take some of the stuff we've learned with us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really don't acknowledge the positives that have come out of this. And there are positive things, Yeah,
it's hard to talk about that because you don't want to sound like, oh, this was a great thing, because it wasn't.
No, of course not.
But we have to acknowledge that some good things happened. We're going to continue to do curbside pickup. Just because some people don't want to come in the shop, they can just come by and grab it. And before it was for COVID, and now it's just because it's convenient.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool thing. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk some more. We're going to take a short commercial break now, but don't go away. We'll be right back with more of the camping show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV.
Canoecopia, the world's largest paddle sport expo, is March 12th through the 14th. Of course, Canoecopia is virtual this year. We have 80 presentations and more than 70 exhibitors. Gear, too. Boats, racks, paddles, PFDs, and more. Tickets are $15 for all 3 days of paddle sport bliss. Plus, the content will be available for 60 days afterwards, so if you miss something, you can come back later at your convenience. Virtual Canoecopia, hosted by the real Rutabaga Paddle Sports. Check us out online at canoecopia.com.
And we're back with our guests, Dan Bush, Westfall, Amelia Getz, and Danny Mongo on the camping show here. We may have touched upon this earlier, but I'm just gonna read this question here. Many people waited all year to make purchases of larger ticket items like canoes, kayaks, trailers, etc., in order to take advantage of the special show pricing that's normally offered. How will that work with regard to the virtual show this year?
Well, last year we extended Canoecopia pricing for 2 weeks after the show, just so people could still get what they needed. This year, with your code you get when you buy your ticket, you'll be able to go onto the website and get Canoecopia pricing on what's on the website. Some manufacturers have told us no discounts. That is their right to do so. So not everything on there will be on sale, but most things will be. As far as boats go, boats are difficult. So we're going to have, Jim and team have set up 20, essentially a giant call center at the shop.
Wow.
And so we'll be taking phone calls from people who want to buy boats, and we'll be running it through that. Instead of discounts on boats, because some of those constraints, we'll be giving a gift card for the shop to people who purchase boats so they can use later.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I know some people have asked that, and I said, well, I'm going to ask on the show. Danny, you've been so patiently waiting down there, and I'm going to ask you a question. As a presenter, you've done a lot of presentations and things. What goes through your mind when you're up there giving your presentation? I mean, you ever wonder, are they paying attention? Do they understand what I'm saying? Do they get in this? Do you catch people, kind of on the edge of their seat wanting to ask a question, and you're like, just hang on. What is it like being a presenter?
Well, I tell you, it's tough. I grew up on Long Island, New York, so I have somewhat of a weird accent. I also lived in Asheville, North Carolina for 15 years. So I tell you, CW, if I had a beautiful voice like yours, this job would be so much easier.
All right, buddy, the check's in the mail. How many zeros do you want to get?
But
where do you want the decimal point? Yeah.
I think making a connection with your audience is the most important thing, maybe even more important than the actual topic you're talking about. So, these people are just excited and everyone's laughing and having a good time. So what I really try to do is dummy down the content, make it really simple and bullet pointed, but for the most part, make sure that I'm making eye contact, and you can really pretty much tell if you got them or not. And I think it just becomes a knack over time. So, for all those presenters that are new at this or maybe struggling with this, slow things down, make really good eye contact, and at times it's okay to just ask, like, hey man, how's everybody doing out there? And
sure.
Kind of get a read. Body language is a really good tell. If they're just sitting there slumped over, you probably don't have them. So, as any kind of a good instructor, you want to try to get group participation as soon as possible. So,
yeah,
it's fun. You don't come back to a show like this because I have to. You come back to a show like this because you want to. And, I give so much credit to Amelia and Kate for putting this on. And it's been a lot of work for me on the backside too. And, none of us would be doing this if we weren't excited. So like Darren said, I think it's a good opportunity to try something different.
Danny, do you ever call anybody out? You see him sleeping and you go, hey, you in the front row, what are you, wake up, do you ever do something like that?
I've never, I'm pretty loud and I'm definitely pretty active. So I don't think I've ever caught anybody sleeping in my presentation, but like you're asking for a raise of hands on questions and some people just refuse to raise their hands. And so, you just got to walk up there, and it's great because we're all mic'd too. And you can really put people on the spot, and some people love it. And some people, don't love it as much, but everyone gets a kick out of it.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of a funny thing, but how does doing the virtual presentations, how does that change things for a presenter?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm really blessed in working for NRS. So they've given me really unlimited funds to make this happen. And, although Amelia says that we don't get graded, I'm really trying for that A+, like even if it doesn't exist. So for me, I just want to try to give the best product I can. And hopefully that way people are coming back and they're telling their friends. I mean, we get to look at this for 2 months. I mean, that's awesome, right? So the hope is that, Danny did a great, hey, pay your $15 and go check out Danny's forward stroke class. I mean, if I'm at a symposium, I'm getting hundreds of dollars a day, and you can watch my class for $15. That's a pretty good deal. So the hope is to put together a really good product and represent Rutabaga well. Like when I show up in Madison, or this week when I show up in Saranac Lake, New York, I feel like I work for Rutabaga first and foremost. So my goal is to give those guys a good product.
That's a great attitude.
See, I got to tell you a story about Danny. So
all right, this is where it gets good, man.
It's 2000. It's 2003. It's our first Door County CCAC symposium we put on every summer, right? And one of our manufacturers doesn't show up with a truckload of boats that we needed to run the symposium. They just didn't show. And Danny was there as a coach, but he happened to have a truck full of boats for a brand we didn't carry at that point. So he just unloaded all of those boats and that's the kind of person he is. So we just said, okay, now we're carrying those boats.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Right.
Wow.
And that's Danny, but it's a lot of the people in our industry are very much friendly competitors. It's like they all want the same thing. They want people to get what they need, the right stuff, wherever they get it from. So when Danny gives a talk about, he works for NRS, which makes paddling clothing and gear, and it's a great company. But he'll talk about other people, other companies, and say, hey, this might be better for you from this other person. And that's the kind of integrity that he has. So I'm just saying.
Well, thanks, Darren.
That's a very cool trait to have, Danny. And I have heard this whole community is kind of like that. It's not so competitive that people will do anything, whether moral or not. And I mean this whole community, the paddling community and the camping community, both are just like, hey, listen, maybe we just don't have what you have, but these other guys over here do. I think that's phenomenal when people are like that, very, very people conscious, very, just very good nature. Let me ask you this. This is kind of back to the show here. For those who purchased tickets to last year's Canoecopia 2020, some people have wondered, will their tickets be honored? Those tickets for last year, will they be honored for this year's virtual Canoecopia 2021?
Those tickets will be honored, like those physical tickets will be honored for hopefully next year's show that we'll be back to in person. But because of kind of logistics of the virtual ticketing, we just asked people to purchase the separate $15 virtual ticket. We did refund tickets if people wanted to bring their 2020 tickets back. We would give them a refund. So we did offer that to people, but a lot of people just held on to their tickets and I think are just going to use them for the next show. We're all thinking pretty positive and use
them for 2022. So that'll get them right in the door there for that show then.
Yeah, let them ride. That's why we don't put dates on them. So
yeah, we did some research, CW. The average order of fried cheese curds in Wisconsin is approaching $14.95 as it is. So you really just got to give up one order of cheese curds and you're good to go. So we think it's a very fair price.
What are you doing with your cheese curds up there that make them worth $15? I'm like, really?
Oh, okay.
You get the big bucket of them? Or?
CW, you need to go to Decatur Dairy in Broadhead, Wisconsin, and you'll never ask that question again.
Is that a fact?
The person there is
I'm writing this down.
He is a six type of cheeses master cheesemaker and the first cheese curd master cheesemaker.
Wow. I'm writing this down. Decatur
Dairy in Broadhead, Wisconsin. Don't tell them I sent you because they have no idea who I am.
Darren said I get a 50% discount.
And they'll go, yeah, okay, right. Next.
That's great. I love it. Well, and you know what? Great point, Danny. Absolutely. I was just the next question was how much are tickets, but we know they're $15. Honestly, for what you're going to get and what you're going to see and what you could learn and all the things you can take away, that is an extreme bargain, I would say. I don't think anyone would argue with that. So, let's talk about Amelia's newborn. How has this been working from home? You knew I was going to go there, right? How has this been working at home or working from home, as many people are these days, with a newborn? That's got to be, and you're juggling quite a bit here. I mean, how has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been intense. I'll say I was probably awake since 3:30 this morning with her, and as you can see, my hair is kind of wet, so I did get a shower in right before this episode.
All I heard is that you slept in till 3:30. It's like you were like a late sleeper here. What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been too bad. My husband actually is taking care of her, so I'm able to work. But still being in the same household and feeding her and all that jazz, it's been interesting, but I'm very thankful that I can do my job from home, and Darren's been just amazing letting me work here and kind of stay as safe as I can and still get stuff done and be in her life. But yeah, it's been different. There's different stresses with in-person Canoecopia and then obviously virtual Canoecopia, and then having a baby on top of the unknowns of virtual Canoecopia and kind of orchestrating it all it's been fun. But I like the challenge.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Well, I mean, you must be very good at what you're doing because I mean, every show I've ever seen or been to, and I'm sure this one will be no exception. Everything goes off so smoothly and very professionally. So yeah, kudos to you, Kate. I have no idea how you stay sane. I've been
It's a big
to
assumption, but yeah, go ahead.
I know.
I mean, I've been to Rutabaga. You know, we did the was it August or September last year. And everybody, bam, 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 bam. Kate's in like 10 different directions at once, doing everything for everyone. And I'm like, wow. You know, I felt bad bothering you, but I knew I had to because you were the first man to see for a couple of things. But I'll bet you're exhausted when these shows are come to a close.
Oh yeah, we definitely all are. Everybody's like giving it 110%. And this year and this season flew by. I mean, it was totally crazy, but kind of fun, like Amelia said. Like it was totally new and we did really well and the staff thrived and it is a lot, but I think once you look back and kind of see everything that you accomplished, it's kind of nice, you can kind of see the fruits of your labor. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and Darren, I have to tell you, you are a man of iron. I know from
I'm
last
not
year.
an Iron Man.
You from last year, I know that you probably wouldn't have found me sober for a couple of months if I had to have that responsibility of what you had to do last year, and yet you just really held your composure. And I kudos to you. I don't know how you did it. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really kind. I think part of it is just when there isn't an alternative, and you do it right. And the analogy I used a lot, and I think we talked about this before, is when you're in aviation, and the problem happens when you're at 5,000 feet or 10,000 feet. You work the problem until you land the airplane or you crash the airplane.
Yeah.
Those are the two options. You hit hard, you hit soft. All you can do is work the problem until the problem goes away, or you crash. So we sat down the day after the show and said, okay, what are we going to do? And got all the smartest people in the room in there, which is everybody on my staff. And we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't, concerned or afraid or scared, because we owed the bank a lot of money and we had all these things planned out. And you know what? It was kind of cool, because like the day after the show, my banker calls and says, you know what? We got you. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And then customers started buying gift cards to give us cash flow and just keeping us ahead. And then all of a sudden April happened and it was, hold on tight, right? And we did a lot of cool things. So we closed the shop on Sunday because we didn't have enough staff to cover 7 days. And then because, I kind of like this, let's just leave it closed.
Yeah.
And, that's fine. It means that we're all there 4 days a week together instead of 3, which is really good for communication.
Mhm.
Our sales were fine. People just learned to shop on Monday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And we had a day where we can all hang out together, which doesn't happen very often.
That's important, isn't it? I mean, really, and that's part of the whole, the camaraderie, sanity, whatever you want to call it. But it is important.
Well, we close the shop every year for 2 days in October and go paddling as a staff up in the Driftless area and eat good food and hang out. And I mean, these people are like family to me in the best possible sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a family up there. I remember hearing that from several of the your staff before. It is a big family, and that's when great things happen. With a business, I think that's the best way to have it. Absolutely, very impressive. There's a couple of things that we were come up here on the screen, and I'm gonna get on those. I'm gonna ask Danny real quickly. He's just been so quiet and polite down there. I have to bug him. Okay, how many months a year are you a presenter for shows like this?
Well, in a normal year, we usually get started. Canoecopia is the kickoff of every year, so it's just amazing energy to carry forth into the season. And the nice thing about Canoecopia, if you don't mind me talking about the business aspect of it really quick, is it really gives the temperature of what's happening in the industry, what's buyer confidence, what boats and what gear is really hot. And you're not only seeing the customers from Canoecopia, but you're mingling with the industry, leaders really. So we all really get to spend a lot of time together. And then from there, I'll go pretty hard all the way through September. And then most sales reps get some downtime. And, I'm an avid snowboarder. I live in Lake Placid, New York. So I'm about 20 minutes to the resort. And I don't think my boss is listening. Can you see him out there at all? But yeah, I got my 60th day on the mountain this morning, CW. So I'm not really complaining too much.
Yeah, we blocked him out, so he won't see you.
Amelia is stressing me out super hard. Like I couldn't sleep. I was up at 4:30 this morning editing video. And so I'm really hoping it came out good. But yeah, really the craziest thing about COVID was I've been traveling for this job for 20 years. And, I didn't find love till super late in life. I got married in 2017 to an amazing woman. So a lot of those years I was single, just living in a truck with a dog. And it's an amazing lifestyle and amazing stories. And, Darren mentioned Door County Sea Kayak Symposium and, and Canoecopia, some of my best memories. And, I'm not sure when we switched to the R-rated version of this show, but man, I could tell you some stories, buddy.
You'll have those.
Kidding.
You'll have those stories and those memories forever. And good for you that you waited until 2017 to get married, get all those wild oats out of all those crazy things out of your system. And
he totally married up, dude. Totally. She's fantastic.
That's what they say to do. Good for you, Cowboy. Good for you. No, that's awesome though. And Lake Placid, I hear that's a beautiful place. I've not been there, but good for you.
Yeah, I've made the drive from here over to Madison quite a bit. So I would think that, man, if I had to do the math really quick, I've probably spent more time in Madison than any other city I've ever lived in, for sure, considering how much time I spend there clinicking their staff and doing Canoecopia and doing Door County. And I love it there. It's great.
It's an amazing place, and Rutabaga, it is an amazing paddle sports shop. Am I right? I mean, there's not many like that around the country, I wouldn't think, are there?
No, I mean, while we got a captive audience, specialty retail is just so important these days. And it's just so easy to pick up the phone and press go and shop online. And, when you think of and please, Darren, I think, I'm being sincere here, but when you think of the great specialty kayak shops of all time, I mean, in anybody's mind, Rutabaga is coming up in the top 5. And then when you strap on Canoecopia to it, it's just a legendary shop. So it's an honor to be involved. And, I say that I try to put together this product to make them proud. And I do. The day that I get complacent and I'm not trying to impress Amelia or I'm not trying to impress Darren, then I'm just no good to anybody, including myself or my wife. I want to set that bar high, and Rutabaga does it for me.
Something that is a great, very admirable attitude, man. That's so cool. Someday, one day I hope we get the pleasure to meet you in person, because I like the way you think, man. That's awesome. And thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's see here. It says, Kate, how about interacting with the exhibitor booths? I want to talk about that for a second. We got about 6 minutes here, and I want to get that one more thing before we close out here.
Yeah, definitely. Because speakers are going to be a really awesome part of this virtual experience, but we do have some awesome things going on with our exhibitor and vendor booths too. Yeah. So we have probably 80 plus exhibitors, and I would say half of them are our vendors here at the shop. And so these virtual exhibitor booths are going to act like the show booths. And so the reps and the staff of these companies will be there to be live chatting with attendees. They will also be doing their own live demo videos, whether it's Q&A sessions or debuting certain products. They'll be available to direct message, and you can even video message with them. So we definitely want attendees to be exploring the virtual booths. That's where you'll find kind of the shopping codes, and like any giveaways that are happening too, because a lot of these exhibitors are doing giveaways on top of any Canoecopia pricing.
Yeah.
Danny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just so it's a way for them, just like at the actual show, to showcase who they are as a company and as a brand, and the people that make up these companies and brands, and they're super special, and we're really grateful for the commitment from past years and especially being a part of this year's virtual show. So we really hope that they see good interactions. And so yes, please, if you're going to be coming to the show, visit every exhibitor booth and see what they've got going on.
Yeah, that's very cool. Appreciate that. People are going to be upset if I don't ask this question, so I'm going to. Darren, this is directed toward you. Of course, no one knows what the future holds, but do you anticipate Canoecopia 2022 to be the live event like we've seen in the past?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And that's, yeah.
I mean, with everything that's in our control, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I think that we're sitting in a good place to be able to be out and about with each other this summer. The new things I've heard is that we'll have vaccination and we'll have enough vaccine by late April, early May, and then give it a couple months to get it out there. So by July, especially if you're outside, we should be out and about. But as far as inside events, I'm fairly confident that in March we'll be able to pull this off again.
Good deal. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Well, and I tell you what, and so I'm going to jump to one other thing, and this is going to be to you, Amelia. But first, so the dates here, we've got the dates already. Dates and times. Let's just have someone give us this again. Dates and times of this year's virtual Canoecopia 2021.
Yeah, they are March 12th through the 14th, and on the 12th, which is a Friday, the hours are 12 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay.
We should note, because this is way more national and even international than in years past. And then Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And then also noting that Sunday is daylight savings time. So people
say that again. It's Sunday is Danny's time?
Daylight savings.
I was going to say, I'm like, what? Daylight savings time. Oh, that's right. And so I usually goof something like that up every year. So good thing that you mentioned that. Absolutely. Before I have you give us the email address, let's see here. 1 year anniversary. Kate, what's going on with that?
Yeah, I think yesterday. So I had left Rutabaga in fall of 2019, okay. And then I came back right before last year's Canoecopia and kind of helped the crew get it all ready. And we canceled the show. And yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a year. So as of yesterday, it's been my 1 year anniversary back. So I celebrated with the staff yesterday.
Did you?
Had some wine after work.
I was just going to ask, there was some real cheers in there going on or what? Good. Hey, happy anniversary. Good for you. Good for you.
So it's 6 years minus 4 months, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. That's impressive. That's very good.
Well, and Amelia is, she's actually leaving us. And Amelia, how many years did you have with Rutabaga?
I've been at 12 years.
12 years. Yeah.
Amelia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're going to leave.
Well, she's moving.
We don't want to talk about this because we'll just start crying.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
She's moving to be closer to family. Not before Canoecopia.
All right.
She's doing the right thing for her and for her family, and I am going to miss her terribly. Sad. But that's
okay. Things happen, man. Things happen. Well, hey, congratulations on that, and Kate as well for your 1 year back. I mean, that's very cool. And Darren, congratulations for having such an awesome staff and an awesome show and paddle sports shop and the whole 9 yards. You, Iron Man, got it together. Honestly, I'm going to ask you.
Can I add one thing?
No, yes, you can. Of course, I can.
I know we're close on time, but I just want to say too, we really have an awesome kind of customer base and just greater Rutabaga Canoecopia family, and I think canceling
Yep.
last year was super tough. And
Yeah.
and this year, I think people are super grateful. We're just trying something, since we can't do it in person. And so we just want to say, like, we're so grateful for everybody attending and participating in this, virtual adventure with us. So
Absolutely.
thanks to
Yeah.
everybody else too.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree that is the attitude out there too. So kudos to all of you guys for doing that. Really, I mean, it's amazing. Well, Darren, give us the web address where listeners can go to learn more about this year's virtual event, Canoecopia 21, purchase tickets, and all that sort of good stuff.
Well, you can go to rutabaga.com and click on the Canoecopia button, which is easy to remember. It's spelling rutabaga, or you can go directly to canoecopia.com. There's a little button that says buy your tickets, but it's got all the speaker schedule. It's got everything you need, and then you can jump onto the platform when it opens up next week, and away you go.
So everything is right there. Very handy. That's awesome. Well, Darren, Kate, Amelia, and Danny, thank you so much for being my guest here on the Camping Show. It was an absolute pleasure having you here this evening. Okay.
Thank you, CW.
All right.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing y'all again. Well, I hope you'll tune in next week when we will have the Happy Camper update with my special guest, Kevin Callan. Once again, thank you for tuning into the Camping Show. This is CW Getz reminding you, learn more, do more. See you next week.